Yeah. In fact, that's what it's recording right now. So. Mm-hmm. Does it like? Can you screencast like I'm doing with this? Okay. Because that's what I like about it. Is it? I was trying to find a smaller microphone so I don't have to stand here with this thing. But I needed to be able to connect to the laptop. But then I have to match them up, and this is like as I'm doing it, it works. So yeah, and it's uploaded right away. So okay, so let's talk about some of these early explorations. What were they? Here's our main idea. Now we call this the age of exploration and expansion, but this is called. This is an example of what some historians call Eurocentrism. And Eurocentrism is a when people talk about history, you may have heard, history is written by the winners, so to speak, the ones that have the power. Eurocentrism is when history or any other way is taught thinking that Europe is somehow better than other places. Now, some people argue that in some ways it was. That, I mean, look, Europe is the place that starts the scientific revolution. It's the place that happens to expand around the rest of the globe, and other places didn't. But whenever we talk about this expansion, if we say the age of, we're kind of showing that we sort of are teaching it from the point of view of Europe, basically. Because lots of other places were in the world. But anyway, so we're going to look at how those different parts of the globe came into contact with each other. The big turning point, the major change here, is that the entire world from this point on, Harold, is going to be connected in a way that it never was before. Before, you had several different areas with big empires, Roman Empire, Chinese empires, empires near India, and things like that. But they didn't necessarily interconnect, and there were also parts of the world that were isolated from others, like South America. But this is going to change everything to the point where from this point on, up to the present day, every part of the world is interconnected more and more every day almost. So the Renaissance and the Reformations really kind of spur this. It created new ways of thinking about life, man's place in the world, religion. And this is going to interconnect all parts of the world forever, or at least up to this day. And we're going to look at this in a few parts. First off, what we call the age of exploration, why they went out and did what they did, what it took to do that. We're going to look at the two countries that lead it off, Portugal and Spain. And finally, we're going to look at the voyage of Magellan, which was the first circumnavigation of the globe. Alexa?
This is Alexa's chapter. This is
okay. Nice.
Ancestors.
Okay.
And I went to Portugal before, so let me just teach a class.
Would you like to? No. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're going to look at different factors and different things that motivated them. Why do you want to do this? This is not a simple thing to do. It's dangerous. It's expensive. So what's the point of it? Now, here's a nice way to break it down. But remember, this is a historian breaking this down. These are the three things we want you to remember so that you can kind of have an idea. But it wasn't like they had a big explorers convention and everybody sat down. They said, why shall we explore? God, gold, and glory. But these are ways of understanding it. So first off, let's talk about God. Christians, particularly Catholic Christians, were interested in spreading Christianity to other places around the world. Christianity, like other what we call Western or Judeo-Christian religions, usually have the motivation to spread the message to other people. Now, if you looked at Eastern religions like Buddhism or Hinduism or Taoism or Shintoism, they don't necessarily have any component that says you have to go tell other people about this. But Christianity definitely has that. It's just part of it. So they're going to try to spread Christianity around the world to different places, to different people. Second part was gold, wealth. And they desired to get wealth through lots of different methods, a lot of which we'll look at today. And finally, glory. This was a competition in a lot of ways between countries that were, or really empires that were starting to try to compete with each other. Okay, now before the Renaissance, Europeans knew about some of the rest of the world. They looked at places in the East, and the East really had a good collection of spices that Europeans wanted. Pepper, which is a pretty common table spice now, but black pepper is not really grown in Europe. Nutmeg, you could name lots of other stuff too. So Europeans wanted this stuff, but there's some problems. You've got the merchants in Italy that we've talked about, got rich from trading these spices. But you've also got something in the way called the Ottoman Empire. And in between Europe and the Ottoman Empire, no, not that one. We're in between Europe and what we call the Far East. There's this huge Islamic empire that's going to exist right up until 1918, basically. Let's go with. Do you need that? You can have that one. Now, what's left of the Ottoman Empire is known as Turkey. That's okay. What's left of the Ottoman Empire is known as Turkey. It's now just the nation of Turkey. But the Ottoman Empire stretched at its height from really almost southern Spain, basically all the way out to almost China or India out here. So it's pretty big. So when Europeans want to trade there, the Ottoman Empire is in the way. And if the Ottoman Empire isn't willing to trade with Europeans along the trade routes, then they got to find a way around. So they have knowledge. The way that most of them are thinking of as the best way is really going around Africa. They know that Africa has a point. You can get to the bottom where you start turning north. And they guess that if you go around, you might be able to. Who's got questions? Okay. Can I continue?